I think you know who I am.
Afraid, Foster?
Previously on Highlander. This is the part where they show you, since it's kind of a three-parter actually, they show you all the stuff that came before that add up to my episode and everything, so it's not really worth watching.
Look, I saw him. He's got Joe.
I'm Richard Martin. I'm the director of this upcoming episode of Highlander called Armageddon. And it's one of 9 episodes I directed of Highlander. This follows a very controversial move on the producer's part to kill off Richie, which has been haunting them ever since. This one was shot in Paris, as we split up the seasons, shot half in Vancouver, half in Paris. This is quite a long previously on Highlander. They're going over a lot of material. So this was done by, some other joker, not me.
It's done.
Okay, here we go. This is a location called Abbaye Notre-Dame-de-Val, outside of Paris. Very beautiful, serene area that has this incredible, I believe it's 15th century abbey on the property which we used. This is the real kind of metaphysical Highlander. This is Dudley Sutton. He was very well known in England for a show called Lovejoy. He played a character, I believe his name was Tink on that show. And he was in a couple of Ken Russell movies too. So he's a troubled priest whose brother committed suicide.
We were children here. I broke my arm falling out of that tree. I think Jackie cried more than
Since this is, kind of culminating the whole thing of Richie's death and the coming of the new millennium, and kind of seeing that as a metaphor for the coming of evil, a special time coming to the world, which the Highlander has to deal with. So it's kind of interesting. It's a little bit different in that a lot of the conflicts that the Highlander is up against are always these moral dilemmas, which are of an external nature. Another immortal, various kind of things like that. But in this one, it's an internal struggle that's going on. The good and evil conflict has come home to roost, and it's right within the Highlander. That makes it interesting.
What are you doing?
See, he's given up the sword. He doesn't want to use the sword anymore because that's how Richie died. So it's very difficult for him. It's funny, in North America, there's a kind of very military kind of thing to a crew. It's like, it's all very schedule-oriented, and it's all kind of, we have to capture that hill by 0800 kind of mentality. In France, it's a little bit looser. Positions, people work more within other people's departments. The assistant director wants to, fulfill your vision, not just hit the schedule. So it's actually kind of refreshing in a way. It's a very nice feel. But, it's also French, so it has a little bit of strangeness to it. They argue a lot, and they're very passionate, but they're wonderful. I love the crew. Shooting on the barge was amazing. I experienced both winter and summer, and this was a very hot summer. And it's, as you can see, it's all metal in there. In winter, it was a meat locker. It was freezing. And in summer, it was an oven. So you really couldn't win with the barge. It's a very confined space and a very lovely space and everything, but kind of a little bit taxing. Oh, this is kind of very important. We got this shot of Jim going up the stairs, and you see him having to use his prosthetic legs very much. This becomes key kind of emotional thing later on in the episode. Now you see, because all this struggle is happening internal, there's a lot to do with visions. And this started in the previous couple of episodes before this. Here comes Peter Hudson. We developed this thing of popping Peter around the room and then coming up on a computer screen. That was scripted, that one. But we kind of continued it because, so much of this is supposed to be this is really in Adrian's head, a lot of it, and in his heart and in his soul, this struggle he's going through.
What a pity.
This is Valentine Pelka, fine actor, artist, and bon vivant. Now this is an interesting shot. We go into his past here, and we pan along, and then here's him and his brother. I added a leg brace to his brother because he's kind of supposed to be emotionally crippled, and then we come back into the present. It was kind of a sweet little shot. And then we reveal that there's nothing there. It was all in his head. A lot of these things happen in people's heads. This is a very much more surreal kind of episode. So we pan off again, and there's his brother alive, but obviously disturbed. And he's describing how he was a troubled man, and he finally committed suicide. This very graphic kind of pietà kind of image, of him holding his dead brother.
Weakness, I have to condemn him.
And then this was scripted. It overflows, and blood starts to appear. It's all metaphors and very interesting stuff. Well, really wanted to show Jim struggling with his legs because this becomes important later.
Can I help you?
Now he's seen a vision, of course. Peter Hudson's character is dead, but he's coming back to haunt him.
How's my family? I gather Lynn's moved back to Chicago.
You're not real.
And now here's another one. He's looking at him there. No, now all of a sudden he's right beside him. So we wanted to keep that kind of thing and to make it unsettling. This guy can be here or there, and because it's all in their minds. Okay, then we got into a bit of surrealness. There's the fabulous Notre Dame in the background. And he's walking to the church, but I said, let's have him walk through a carnival, kind of, again, all about illusions and people who are, strange and out of place, and clocks that have no faces on them. So we just got all these different elements together. Devil mask, pig mask, gave it that kind of flavor of something's not right here, everything is strange. And of course, a sword swallower. Saint-Julien-à-Pavre, my French is terrible. This is one of the oldest churches in Paris. It's absolutely amazing. It's actually very simple and very small. They've shot here a lot, and it's incredible. Right in the middle of Paris, just across from Notre Dame. This is where the ultimate struggle between good and evil. It's going to happen here.
Yes, I see its works everywhere. Whatever books or scrolls are of use to you, you're welcome to them. Thank you.
So all through the Highlander's journey, his journey is of his heart, of his soul, of his mind, and trying to put together the pieces of this puzzle of this Ahriman, this second coming of evil, or this kind of thing. And so this is part of the Highlanders' kind of sad journey on this, to discover why things went so wrong and why Richie ended up dead.
Dear God, no.
Jim Burns told me he said that line so many times on Highlander. Dear God, no. That and the other one was, Mac! What's going on? Something like that. He said those a lot. Okay, here we go again. Now this is, again, to create this kind of unsettling thing. The doors swing open, it's something, we come around, there he is.
I didn't kill him. You did.
And then bang, bang, we put him over there.
Exactly.
Right? Again. Now look, now he's sitting over there, and we move through. It's kind of very stylized, but I thought it suited the, this whole unsettling feeling of these illusions and fantasies. This is all shot, and all the guys dying is all shot in that kind of 8 frame a second situation, which we then step print, so it seems like normal motion, but it's not really. It's got this kind of jittery. I use that a lot in this episode. Meanwhile, back at the church, well, the forces of evil, the devil, what have you, are really playing games between the Highlander and this priest to gain control
Come
of
to confess your sins.
the soul of the world, I guess.
Come to ask forgiveness.
Tell me, Father, which is better, murder or suicide? See, I'd say murder.
Now here we start what I call the Wimbledon of
I could
evil.
rip out
As you
someone's
see, the camera will
beating
start to
heart.
move back and forth
Confess to
between
you
these
and you'd
guys.
have to forgive me, wouldn't
It was kind of an iffy
Only
kind of
God
move.
can
Not a lot of
forgive.
people kind of
As
can
for
go for that kind of
suicide.
thing. But, you could have shot this in a very straightforward
forgive your
two
brother
shots
when
and
he
then
slashed his
left it
wrist?
to the editing. But there was something unsettling. You know, he had this
Brothers
barrier
of God's
between
hands.
good and
Your
evil.
brother is in
And,
hell.
and to just constantly shift back,
Tormented for
forth,
eternity.
and back and
you
forth
see
between them, catching like these little
tortured
glimpses of,
In
tortured
agony,
kind of
while the
thing, him
murderers would
talking.
cry, oh, please forgive me. They
Him just
enter
reacting,
the land
not
of
knowing what to
Armageddon.
say. Valentine can do so much with a little eye
Look at
move. It's amazing to watch. That's what
Are
I
you
love
afraid
about
to look into the
good
face of
actors.
evil? Afraid that your God can't protect you even in his own house?
That's a nice little effect. We just had to take Dudley and put him in the other side, and then in the optical, it's cut in such a way that it makes them both appear simple but effective. This is up at the Abbey in Notre Dame de Val, and these candles become very important in another scene because it's night. But most of the set dressing is just part of the Abbey. It's just one-stop shopping. It's all there,
Oh, wait a
and we
second.
just brought in. I
Maybe
just
that-
said let's have candles.
Let's go and find that symbol.
Here's a little comic moment. The wind blows.
I think we'll use another door.
I think we'll use another door. More illusions are on the way. Now he has to encounter his dead brother.
Jackie,
There's a British actor named Terence Beasley. So here's the troubled priest. Now we start this montage of his indecision. It's basically driving him mad, and the devil or whoever it is wants his soul and wants him to commit suicide because that would be the ultimate act that this priest could do as an insult to God and himself. Now this scene is just incredible. This is the scene where the devil, in the form of the Peter Hudson character, is to give to tempt Jim, is to give him back his legs. Now he's floating over him. We created that moment. It looks really great. And now he's popped into another room. This is one of the most courageous things that Jim. We talked about this because I'm going to do a scene where you get your legs
No, I
back.
think
How
you
do you
won't.
feel about that? You're going to be sitting there legless in this scene. And Jim said a beautiful thing. He said, "Look, man, I've
Just say no
lived
to
with
McLeod when he
this
asks you
most
to
of my
violate
life,
your
and
witch
I
oath
want to
and
do
help him.
this." You'll see a lot of real
Do you remember
stuff
reading
going
the
on
witch?
here because this was kind of a catharsis,
thousands
I think,
screaming your
for
name as you
Jim in many ways.
scored
We
yet
spent
another
most of the day
touchdown.
shooting this. Big, intense
Do you remember
close-up.
what it was like to wrap your legs around a beautiful woman?
So his conflict is he going to betray McLeod? Get to walk again. He made it very difficult on himself. He made it very real. Here's a process shot that shows him with legs. Jim was very concerned about this scene. He wanted it to be right, and we were standing out having a little break. And he came up to me, and he wouldn't actually look at me. He was just on the steps in his prosthetic legs. Says, "So, Richard, are we getting some okay stuff in there?" I said, "Very good, sir." So he denies the devil, basically, and loses his legs. Adrian is always pretty intense character, and this was a very important season to him because it was like the last season. But for most of the shows, it was kind of business as usual, and in some ways trying to sum up the whole Highlander thing in terms of the internal struggles, which we're going to see here a lot. It wasn't until the last episode, I think, that he really started to feel that it was coming to an end. Now we go into a very surreal passage with this incredible abbey on the property of Abbaye Notre Dame de Val. And this is where he encounters a devil-like figure. Look at this incredible space. There was no crane used on this. It was just all platforms. And what we did have was a lot of wide-angle lens, extreme wide-angle lens. You know, that's in. We're actually pretty close to that little guy, but with the wide angle, it just shows the space so beautifully. Now, originally, this was supposed to be an actual child doing this, which I thought was just inspired. This didn't sit well with the French distributors, apparently, because, I don't know, this kind of child devil Catholicism thing, I don't know, something went wrong there. And so we had to change it to this kind of standard, more, you know, dwarf figure, David Lynchian kind of thing. Really love the imagery, but, you know, the choice of a small person, I don't, you know, a child doing this would have been something quite horrific. It's a real imagistic. I mean, there's this, every shot is like illusion after illusion and everything. And this was all to express the horrible internal struggle that he was going through. It was like nothing happened in this outside of the Highlander's being. We found this pit on the property to have put him in.
The more I hated, the more I was lost.
And that's pretty much the whole thing of the episode, you know. It's the anger. Anger feeds on itself and becomes the devil, basically. This is where our devil-type figure wants to bring the priest over to the dark side.
You wasted your whole life on a lie.
It wasn't particularly difficult. It took a little more time to do these kind of scenes, but it made it so much more interesting for the actors and for the crew as we have people fading in and out of scenes and popping around, and then a shot from the past with the two brothers, the young cripple boy fading off into the dust there. It made it a little more technically challenging. Now we're going into, this is a cleansing ritual that the Highlander is doing here. This is a lot of stuff that Adrian himself had been working on in terms of his, you know, martial arts and meditation anyway. And it all comes together here so that finally the ultimate struggle for him is to free his mind, take hate out of his heart, and then he can deal with the little guy there. This is a stone quarry. It goes on for like a couple of 100 yards into a hill near a little town called Marial in France. And this is actually a mushroom farm. They keep it at a certain temperature and put bales of stuff, and the mushrooms grow out, and it's the greatest mushrooms. And but we cleared out one whole room, and it just was this unique structure because it had been a stone quarry. They'd been quarrying stone for houses out of it for, you know, a couple of centuries or something. But it just was such this surreal space. It was just like so bizarre. It just seemed like the underworld. Shooting in France is certainly a little bit different from shooting for the umpteenth time in Vancouver or Toronto or you know, up in the GVRD. You run into just these unique locations. And while I was there, I scouted locations, metro tunnels, all kinds of old train tunnels, secret underground spaces. There's a whole underworld in Paris. It's quite amazing. This is the ultimate dance where, you know, the sword fight, he doesn't need the sword, he can push him off, and it becomes this kind of dance thing which Adrian developed. We found the one window in Abbaye Notre Dame and just put the biggest damn light I could find out of it to create that Highlander shaft, and then filled the place with candles to do this this little dance. So he tries to run him through. Boom. And that's the end of that. He defeated it. The only problem with this is it is a little bit of a simplistic solution to everything. But then most of those things are, you know, the fight between good and evil ultimately is within ourselves. And the only place we can find love is in our heart and with the people we love. Yeah, it's that kind of thing. And I just love, you know, how just imagistic the whole episode was. It just, you know, you just go nuts with stuff. This was the ending of one kind of Highlander thing, and yeah, ultimately the roller coaster ride down to the Highlander going off into the mist and into myth, basically. First, he had to defeat evil in his heart. You know, so it's two different kinds of Highlanders going on here.
Will you do me a favor?
I really like this last shot. We worked a little bit on this.
Will you please?
He's given him back his sword. He hasn't used his sword. And I just wanted to have this close of the sword and then just draw back to the two of them standing there.
You've defeated Armageddon.
Nice shot on Adrian. And so now, bang, there it is. Looks so close. And he's got the sword. And then we just ride back. And leave the two of them standing there. End.